Learn the most empowering hiring techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with your host, Rick Girard.
All right, so this story was shared with me just yesterday by an Intertru customer, Kurt. Now, Kurt is the CRO of a very high growth, $300 million plus EOS run company. 5 months ago, he hired a bartender for a sales role. Now, not because she had the perfect resume. In fact, she didn't have a resume at all. She emailed him directly after reading their job post and wrote 3 paragraphs so honest, so compelling that he postponed interviewing their top 3 candidates just to meet with her. After completing their interview process, they hired her. 4 months later, she's outperforming everyone on her sales team. Now, here's the crazy part. None of the original applicants who had great looking resumes even made it past round 2. Now, you got to ask yourself why. Because they were keyword stuffing resume robots. They knew nothing about, they figured out how to beat the AI filter, but not the interview. And that bartender, she felt like the role was speaking directly to her because the job description was written to attract her and every high performer just like her. I'm Rick Girard, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. We help entrepreneurs and executives win the strongest people. We do so by sharing insights from top performing rebel entrepreneurs, game changers, and industry leaders. Now, today's a solo show. We've had a ton of email over the past few weeks because we've been talking about AI, and this is actually going to be focused in on solving the problem of AI bots. Now, a little bit about me. I'm a recovering headhunter. I've successfully built and exited 2 executive search firms. I'm the founder of Intertru, and I'm the creator of the Hire OS hiring operating system, author of the best-selling book, Healing Career Wounds, and I'm someone who's really passionate about your company's growth. So today we're going to discuss AI, and specifically I want to talk about how to eliminate AI bots from applying to your job posts. So let's really talk about how AI has broken resume screening, right? We've got a situation now where there's an explosion of AI tools that are designed to screen resumes to understand whether or not somebody fits the criteria of what the hiring manager might be looking for. Now, at the flip side of that, we also have ChatGPT. And it's very easy these days. I know I've talked about it before, but it's really easy for me to copy the job description, copy my resume, paste it into ChatGPT and give it the prompt, hey, optimize my resume for keywords to make sure that I make it past the resume screening tool. Boom, in seconds, even unqualified applicant can beat your filters. It's why your inbox is overflowing with resumes that are machine optimized and not really human authentic. We've also got a bit of an issue with offshore candidates who claim to be here in the US, who match up with a LinkedIn profile. You've got to really spend time matching the LinkedIn profile and the actual the the resume itself. And then you've got to figure out if the person who actually shows up to the interview, once you decide to screen them, is in fact the same person. Personal experience, I've had a few people show up to an interview for a client of ours quite a few months back that looked nothing like their picture on their LinkedIn page. Another big tip off is you'll hear other people talking behind them because they're in a call center and they're doing interviews. So problem number 1, AI has broken resume screening. Now let's talk about number 2 problem, is that the best candidates are not applying. If you are a name brand company like a Google or Facebook or Virgin or any other company in your industry that people know and their brands that they trust, you're going to attract passive high performers just naturally. But most likely you're not. You might be the leader in your industry, but the truth is you're not a well-known company. Now, the key is you want high performers who are passive to apply to your roles. And here's why they're not applying, because they're not reading your job post. And let me tell you why. Because it's written to check boxes and not to inspire humans. You know who likes your job posts? Lawyers, because they're compliant. And that's really it. So even though you follow best practices and you talk about how great your company is, it's the same thing everybody else is putting back out there. And so if you're doing the same thing, you're not going to attract any high performers because there's no compelling reason for them to jump. Problem number 3, and this is a belief system that I've had to overcome with a lot of hiring managers that I've worked with and even my friends. There's this conception that more candidates equals better candidates. Meaning, if I get more people in the funnel, somebody great is going to, just magically appear through the bottom. Now, there's a lot of factors to go into that, but we've all been conditioned to believe that volume equals quality. But the truth is, it does not. It just means more noise. So think about the time you spend going through and looking at resumes and then going, well, and this person kind of, oh, they have something interesting in the resume. Maybe I should talk to them, right? That's a big time waster. And when you think about a hire from a referral perspective, how many resumes do you look at when you have a candidate referral for a role? You actually hold off until that person makes it through the process, and then that one candidate ends up getting hired. So if you focus on one, then it works. How many resumes do you truly need to hire one role or 2 roles or 5 roles? How many candidates do you need to apply? If you have 5 roles, you really need 5 people to apply, maybe 10 at most that you want to bring through the whole hiring process. So why are we chasing this glory of, hey, we got 1,500 responses in a week? It's unmanageable, and we all know that 99% of those are just a waste of time. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is auto apply is your enemy. I know it's really easy if you post a job on LinkedIn or Indeed or ZipRecruiter. If you post a job on any of the various websites, they've made it very easy for somebody to actually rewrite their resume and then auto apply through those platforms. Here's the thing. It takes one click. And did they really read your job description? No. Auto apply just floods your inbox with more and more unqualified resumes. Now, again, in the case that I said before, this person who was a bartender got hired for a sales job. That is a person that's a high performer, and that was transferable, right? So are we going to be able to attract those people? The bar is super low, and worse, the process doesn't filter in the best people. Auto apply, as a matter of fact, filters people out. There's no challenge, and there's absolutely no reason for them to lean in to leaving a current job that they're working in to join your company. So again, if you make things too easy, people aren't going to want it. Are you listening to the Higher Power Radio Show? I'm your host, Rick Girard, and for our podcast listeners, we're going to take a quick educational moment from our sponsors. Hey, we're talking about AI, and we're talking about how to eliminate bots from applying to your jobs. Now, I've got kind of a 5-step process that I put in place that I want to kind of um, talk about. And it starts with content, right? So let's break this down into the framework. I'm going to run through the framework. First off, write your content for one person, your ideal candidate. Think of it like you're reaching out to a specific person who was referred to you and you want to track that person. Anybody who's looking for a job is going to apply. You're not going to miss out on people, right? The second thing is make a call to action, meaning have an apply mechanism that's very different than just click auto respond. Number three, ditch your compliance language. The purpose of a job description is to um, inspire somebody to want to apply to your role. Compliance language can be at the very bottom, but the problem is it starts at the top. Step four, make it challenging, not easier to apply. And that's where we go loop back to that call to action. We want to have a human interaction that will enable us to get high performers to lean in and be able to express, like the example of the bartender who took the sales job. She was able to express why she felt that she would crush it in that role. And then, we need to start treating our job descriptions like a marketing campaign. It's not a situation where like, hey, look at, we're putting our job descriptions out there and we're going to hope that the best people are going to lean in. All right, so let's start with step one, writing a job description for one person. If you think about a job description, where it usually starts with, I'm going to tell you about the duties of the role, and then I'm going to tell you all about us as a company. Nobody cares about you as a company. They don't know who you are. And in fact, they may be looking for like something new. But the truth is, if they're not looking for something new, there's no with them. There's no what's in it for me. So the quickest way to get to a what's in it for me is, how do I help you, Mr. or Mrs. Passive candidate? How do I help you understand that I understand you? I understand the challenges that you have in your current role. And in fact, there's an opportunity here that might solve those challenges. So we need to stop writing job description for the crowd, right? Write for one high performer that you'd be thrilled to hire, even if they're not actively job hunting. So you got to get crystal clear on who this person is, what their pain points are. And I'll give you a tip on pain points. If you actually Google or look at data through Gallup about dissatisfaction in the workplace, it's close to 70% of people who are working in jobs do not like their job. So if something better came up, if you tap them on the shoulder at the right time, guess what? You can get them. So you want to dial in on their pain points, and then you want to express that you understand what those motivations are. And those motivations tend to be about their career aspirations. High performers want to grow. So if you can demonstrate that you understand that, hey, look at, you've got an issue and this opportunity might solve that issue, now you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to capture somebody's attention. So write your job post as if you're writing them a letter. Make it human, make it specific, and emotionally intelligent. Show them that you understand their world. That's it. Fairly simple. Now, when they read your job description, I'm going to kind of cover this twice, but you want to make a human call to action, right? So at the end of the job description, we're going to talk about, instead of apply here, tell candidates exactly how to reach out to you. Ask them to email you directly with answers to 3 open-ended questions. Now I'll share with you the questions I use. What motivated you to respond to this role? What do you believe you're capable of achieving that you're not able to get in your current role? And then what's the best way for us to connect today or this week? I'm looking for intelligent answers to those questions. Now, this weeds out bots. Bots will not apply to this. And if they do, they're going to focus in on their skills. They did not answer the question. So if what motivated them to respond to the role is because they have 5 years of this and 4 years of that, again, we're going to get to that when we talk about compliance language. Those aren't motivators. So it's going to weed out bots and it's going to weed out lazy applicants because bots can't translate the essentially they have to send you an email. So if they do it, it's going to be very obvious. And look at lazy people or lazy applicants are not going to apply. They're just going to auto respond. Only respond to thoughtful, motivated candidates because these are the people that actually are leaning in. They're the ones who are going to respond. This is how a bartender became the top salesperson because it spoke to her. She decided that she was going to reach out and really put her best foot forward and describe why they needed to hire her. You can't stop that. This is by far some of the best reasons why you want to allow people in. And guess what? Again, didn't have a resume. So, all right, step 3, I want to talk about compliance language. Here's the truth. Compliance-based language is repelling great candidates. So look at legal safe, HR sanitized job posts do not engage people. They confuse and bore them. Yes, compliance matters, but you can embed it without leading with it. It does not have to be obvious like it is in almost every job description. Now, if you run ChatGPT and you ask them to create a job description for a role for you, it's going to follow best practices. And guess what best practices do? They follow what's been written by attorneys. So like, look, you don't want your attorney doing marketing for you. So again, legalese in marketing usually falls on the bottom in small lines. So you can have your EEOC content at the very, very bottom of the job description, but you don't want it built in and throughout your whole job description. Front load your posts with storytelling, clarity, and purpose. So compliance can go on the bottom where it belongs. So I don't want to beat that dead horse, but I'm gonna let that go. So with the call to action, and I'm gonna kind of loop this back in, we need to make it challenging, not easier to apply. Now, I know this seems counterintuitive, but there's a psychology here. High performers want to be challenged. And when you ask them to put in effort into applying, like thoughtful responses instead of a resume drop, you're creating signal that this role is different. You're creating signal that your company is different. It's unique and it stands out. And you're creating signal that this opportunity is worth spending the time on. Now, usually at the end of the call to action, I wrap up with the sentence with anybody who sends me well thought out answers, I'm going to set up a meeting with you. We're going to have a discovery conversation. Because they put in the time to do that, I want to talk to them. So this is how you differentiate, and this is how you demonstrate that you're a company that values people and not bots. And then I'm going to go to step 5. And again, this goes back to the compliance thing, ditching the compliance language, but treat your job description like marketing. A job post and a job description can be 2 separate documents. A job description could be the very compliant thing that you have the candidates sign off on when they join. However, a job post, again, should be treated like a marketing document. This is kind of a sales pitch, but it's not, right? You're selling to a ideal customer or ideal candidate profile. And what you're selling is transformation to one specific customer, your ideal candidate. Now, what's that transformation? What's the mission? How do they make an impact? Those are the things that get them to lean in. Those are the things that get them to read the whole job description, right? Do they align with the mission of the company? Do they see that you can provide them career growth? And again, in marketing, this is what we call the call to action. Actually, I'm not a marketer, but I mean, the call to action is the one thing that that allows people to lean in, to express themselves, and to give you a different view of who they are. All right, so with that, I'm going to wrap up. A couple of key takeaways that I want to give you is that first and foremost, write your job description for one ideal person in mind. If you want to, if you need help, you can certainly reach out to me or to any of my people here at Intertru, and we can help walk you through this. I actually didn't talk about some of the other important capabilities abilities that would get people to lean in. If you're treating job descriptions like a marketing document, build in accountability, right? We want to also make sure that you're making it challenging to apply and not super easy. Eliminate autoresponder. On my LinkedIn posts, one of the things that I do is at the very first line, it says, please do not respond to this ad through LinkedIn. Follow the directions in the content. And at that, I want to thank you for tuning in this week's episode of Higher Power Radio. Quick thanks to our team, Brian Colburn, Andrea Ballin, and Rick Girard. If you're listening to a podcast, please subscribe, review, and share. After all, this show's for you. And we're going to continue to bring valuable content to you week after week. You can check us out further at Higher, H-I-R-E, Power, P-O-W-E-R, radio, R-A-D-I-O.com. Or you can drop me an email at Rick, R-A-C-K, at Intertru, I-N-T-E-R-T-R-U.ai. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power Radio. Catch our LinkedIn Live show every Tuesday at noon, or download the podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate you joining us on Higher Power Radio with your guide to hiring success, Rick Girard.